Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. In this tutorial, I want to demonstrate how you create the bookshop class that was given to you in the last assignment. Remember, this is the assignment. It says that create a bookshop class in Java that will allow a user to perform the following activities. Select from among the following options. Add book details in a text file. Borrow book. Of course, we're just going to simulate the borrowing of books. View all the books available in the text file, and also an option to quit. So this was your assignment. Let's see how we can create this in our Java. Remember, we are using the IntelliJ IDEA, the community edition. So to create your class, you go to your start and open your IDEA. You will be brought to the welcome screen, as you can see on the screen here. You click on new project to create the bookshop class or project. Okay, so here you make sure Java is selected. You leave all these, go to next, and give it a name. So I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to call it bookshop. Okay, and here we go. All right, so this is our bookshop project. Inside this, I want to create a package. So I'll go to my SRC, that is the source folder in the project pane, go to new package. I want to call this package bookshop, or better still, the bookshop. I have my bookshop package here. Now inside this package, I want to create my bookshop class. So I will right click on the bookshop package and go to new and select Java class. Here I will name my class. I want to call it bookshop. Okay, press enter, and our bookshop is created. Okay, so here I want to start with my, remember, we want to get book details from the user so we can store or save these details in a text file. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to indicate the details that we want to get from the user by creating class members or attributes. So these are the details I want to get. I want to have, we're looking at the title of the book, so I'm going to call it BK title. I also want to get the, okay, let's do one by one. The author. You're looking at the year the book was published. Okay, so these are the attributes that I want to get in my, bookshop class. So these are the details I want to store in the database. Okay, now that being said, I want to create a constructor. So what is a constructor? I want to create a parameterless constructor in the first place. Okay, so a constructor should have the same name as the class name. So I have Bookshop. Open this. I don't have anything in this constructor. Okay, it's just going to help me get some things that I'll show you later in this tutorial. Then I want to create my other constructor that has parameters. So I'm going to create the bookshop again. Here I'm going to have my string bk title, bk author. So in this constructor, I want to initialize my class members. So this dot. Okay. So I am using this constructor to initialize all the data members that I have. Now I want to also create a class, a variable or an attribute that will be used to store the title of the name of the file that we want to save the book in. So I'm going to create another string variable and call it the file name. Okay, so I'm going to pass the file name here as well. So again, in my class, I'll come back to this. Okay, so in this, my book title class, now that I have created my constructors, I want to now create the functions that I would need to store, borrow, and view all the books in my file. So I'm going to create three functions. The first function is going to be the function to create my file. So void, I'm going to pass the name of the file here. In my second one is going to be function to write into the file. So now inside this function here, I am now going to add all the things that I want to store in my database. Okay, in my file. So I want to look at the file that I want to put my data in. So and in my last function, I want to read from the file. So again, the file name. Okay, let's try and put the contents in them now. In my create file class, function, what I want to do is to check if the file exists. If it doesn't exist, I will create it. If it exists, I will do nothing. Okay, so I want to now create this file in my D directory. Inside my D directory, I'm going to create a, a directory called Bookshop. So I'm going to my D directory. Inside D directory here, I want to create Bookshop. Okay. All right. So this is where I want to create the bookshop and add the bookshop details to. Okay. So I'm going to write my code to create my file. Okay. So because this file operations are prone to error, I want to put them in a try catch block. So I'll create my file class. Let me call it my file is equal to new file. Okay. The path why I want to create this file is drive D. Now use the double forward slash to escape. The name of the directory is bookshop. Inside this directory, I want to create a file called file name. That name that I will give, I want to create this in there. Okay, great. And I want to verify, like I said, if the file does not exist, I want to create it. If it exists, I will not do anything. So I'll start with my if function. If if my file does not exist, then what I want to do is create it. Okay. Okay. Creating this new file. All right. That's it. Now I'm going to catch the error in case there is any error. I want to catch the IO exception. I want to call this E, small e, and display something nice. System. I want to tell the user there was an error creating file. Okay, so that's it. That will be the content of my create file class. Okay, now let's go to the method to write into the file. Here, I want to get the details that the user will enter and write them into my file. Okay, so the name write into file. I'm going to write this into the file name that the user or the program will provide. Okay, again, this is prone to error, so I want to try this. Okay, so what do I do? Let me create the file writer class. Let me call it my writer. Okay. Now inside this, I want to indicate the file. Remember the file is in drive D. I'll escape this. The name of the directory was bookshop. Okay. Into the name that we are going to give. So file name. Okay. open our parentheses. Okay, all right. Don't worry about that. Sorry. So we end our statement here. Now let's try and now put the details into the file. So I'm going to use the write method of the file writer class and do my writer dot dot write. I'm going to put the details in here. What do I want to put in the first? I want to escape if I want to go to new line. Then I want to add the first detail, that is the book title. So I'll do concatenation bk title here. Okay. And I want to add some tab. So /t gives me a tab. And I want to add my author. So bk author. I want to also get a tab. Now add the publisher. Again, a tab. And I'll do the year the book was published. BK year. So I think that's what I want. I want to have the book title. Then after that, I'll give a tab. Then I will display the book author tab. Then the book publisher tab. The book year. Okay. So here I want to get another. Okay, that's it. That is okay. I wanted to add a new line, but that's it. Okay, that should be it. Once I have written, I should now close my writer. So I'll now close the writer like that. Now I'm going to catch the error. So in case there is any error, I want to catch IO exception. So it's in this key object and display something nice. So system.out print line. Error while writing to file. Okay, so that's it for my write class. Sorry, the method. Now let's try and read from the file. Let's add the code for reading from the file. Assuming the user wants to view all the books that we have currently stored in the text file. This read from file is what we are going to execute. Remember, we are reading from the file name that will be provided in the parameter there. Okay, so again, let's try our block and let's create a file, an object for the file reader class. Let's call it my reader. Okay, so for this, let's specify the path to the file that we want to read. Remember, it's on drive D, a directory called Bookshop. Then we provide the name, the file name. Okay, that's it. We have created an object for the file reader class. Now we are going to use the while loop to read the content of the file from the beginning to the end. So let's declare some I variable here, and let's use our while loop while I is equal to my reader. Okay, go to read. Whilst there is still something to be read in the document, what do we want to do? We want to print all the contents of the file. So we use system.out. All right, so system.out print line. We print or we display the content of, or better still, let's just use print. Okay, so we do all right. That's it. This is prone to error, so let's catch the error in case of any exception E and display something nice to the user. Oh, I forgot. We need to actually check if there's still more to be read. Sorry. Here, it's actually not equal to -1. That means whilst there's still some more file to be read. Okay, sorry. Okay, so that's it. So these are the three methods that we would need in our Bookshop class. The first one is create file that will help us to create the text file if it does not exist. Second one is going to help us to write the book details into the file. And the third one is going to help us to write or read from the file if the user wants to get all the details in the Bookshop right now. Okay, so this is our Bookshop class. All right. Okay. All right. Now let's go to the main class. Let me create. So in this, we have our main function. So public static void main. Okay. So here, remember in the assignment, it says that we should display some options for the user to make a choice from. Okay, so I'm going to create a character object variable that I'm going to use to take the choice from the user. Also, I'm going to create some variables to get the details of the book from the user. So I'm going to have bk title. I'm going to have bk author. I'm going to have bk pub. Let me cut short this one. Okay, the publisher. Okay, now let me create an integer bk year for now. I'm also going to create a final variable or a constant here that's going to hold the name of the file we want to create. So I'm going to call it Um, Let me call it, okay, I know it's going to be a string. And I'll call it the file, but still name. Uh, let's call it book details or with books. Okay, books.txt. All right. Now this will be the name of the file, the text file that we'll create, in which we will store all our book details. Okay, so to get an input from the user, let's create a scanner object. So scanner, let's call it input. Okay, is equal to new scanner and pass the input stream. We have our scanner object. Excuse me. So let's create an object for our bookshop. So remember, when I was creating my bookshop class, I created two constructors, one that was parameterless and one that had 5 parameters. I said I wanted to use the parameterless to just initialize my bookshop object. So I'm going to create my bookshop. So now I have bookshop, bshop is equal to new bookshop. Okay, that's going to execute or call the parameterless constructor. Now with this object, I want to create my file. So I'll do my bshop dot create file. Now the file I want to create is the f name. Okay, I hope that is clear. So we use the create file to create the file. And what is the create file method doing? It's going to verify if there is a file that is in the bookshop directory on drive D. If there is any file called books.txt, it will just ignore. If that file does not exist, then the function or the method will create the file so we can have our details stored in it. Okay, so now that we have created the file, we have to now display the options to the user so that they can now input their choice. So I'm going to use my system.out dot print line. Maybe welcome to the bookshop class. Some underline. I want to now do some routine. Okay, we'll come back to that. So what do I want to do? I want to display the options will now follow here. So I'll say one. Okay, so these are the options that I want to display to the user. After all these, I want to ask the user to make a choice. Okay, I want that choice to be on the same line, so I'll just use the print function and tell the user to make their choice. Okay, this is where I use my scanner function. And what I want to do now is I want to take the input and store it in the ch variable that we created. So I'll use my input, and because the ch is a character, sorry, the ch was a character, I will use the next method. Okay, now this, I want to take the first character, assuming the user enters more than one. I just want to take the first character. So I'm going to use the char at method. Okay, so the first will be the 0th position. Okay, now after all this, I want to switch this option. So I'll switch and put this in my code here and do the switch. Okay, so I'm taking the input from the user here, and some users can enter more than one input at this stage, but whatever you enter, I'm taking the first character to verify whether it conforms to any of these options that we have given, option 1, 2, 3, 0. Okay, so now this is where I come to my do while loop. Okay, so I'll go and do all these while my ch object here is not equal to 0. That is, the user has not entered 0 to exit. Immediately the user enters 0, I want to quit this program. So I'm going to test for 3 cases in my switch statement here. I want to test case 1, that is if the user enters 1. Okay, whatever the user does. Then I'll test for case 2, that is if the user enters 2. I'm breaking here. I'll test for case 3 if the user enters 3. Then I'll test for case 0, that is if the user enters 0. I'm going to break here. Now, assuming the user does not enter any of these given options, I'll put the code in the default. Okay, so in here, I want to display let's try again. One space there, one space there. Great. Okay, so far we are done with our uh, default if the user does not enter anything. Let's go to our first case, case 1. That is, if the user doesn't enter, sorry, if the user enters 1. Okay, so here what we want to do first is to just use an input statement to take care of the return from my input, because we have used the input to take an input from the user first. Therefore, there's going to be a buffered return statement. So I'm going to take care of that by just doing input. Next line. Now I'll show you what this will produce if we don't bring it. Now we're going to tell the user to enter okay, to enter the book title. Okay, we can get the input from the keyboard now, and we store it inside the bk title. Okay, so you get the input. Next line. Oh, sorry. Okay, so Power BI. We can now also tell the user to enter the book author. So the author. Get the input now. BK author. Okay. Again, tell the user to enter the publisher. Then lastly, we want to get the year the book was published. Okay. Remember, it's an integer, so we put next int. Okay, so that's it. Now that we have gotten these details, we need to now pass them to our constructor that is going to do the assignment. So pass this book details to the constructor. Okay. What is the name of the constructor? Remember, the first one is the book title, that is BK title. Second one will be the author. Okay. Third one will be the publisher. Fourth one will be the year. Sorry. And the file name is fname. I like to always have space in my parameters so they become readable. All right. Okay. So that's it. We have passed these details that were gotten from the keyboard to our bookshop object. So this is going to call the constructor, and you know what is being done in the constructor. Let me go up there and show you what is going to happen. So these details are going to be passed to this bookshop constructor here, and it's going to assign the values that we have entered to the class members here, right? That's what we are doing. Okay. Now, inside this constructor, we want to write the details into the file. Remember, now that we have the details, we can simply write them into the file. So what are we going to do? Remember the method that we created to write the file was write to file in the name of the file. So file name. That's it. This is where we write the details into the file. Okay, that will be it for our constructor now. Let's go back. So we are done with case one. That is if the user enters one. Let's go to case two. Two was to borrow books. Since we don't have any method to borrow book right now, let's just be nice to the user. We can just display something nice. So system out dot print line. You want to borrow book. Check back data. Okay, that's it. So if the user enters two, we don't have that function, so it's just simply displaying something nice to the user. I guess we have to end our line here. That will be it for case two if the user enters two. Now let's go to case three. What do we do when the user enters three? Three was, let's see what the three is for. Option three is to view all the available books we have added to our file so far. So remember we have a file, sorry, we have a function called read from file. But before we execute or call that function, let's display something on the screen. I just want to ask something here. Let's say um, list of available books. So let's do some lines here. Okay. Let's standard out print line. Let's do something nice in the file. Yes. All right. So in between this, we are now going to call the method that is going to display all the content we have in the text file. Okay. We will do pk. Okay, so the name of this was Bishop. Well, we already have an object. So let's use the object that we created. So just the Bishop like that. Okay, so we're going to use the same object here. And read from the file. What is the name of the file? We give it the F name. That's it. Okay. Now for option 0, that is if the user wants to exit, we won't do anything. We just break and the user will come out of the switch case. And because it is 0 also, the while loop will exit because the user now wants to quit. You help him to quit, get out of their way. Okay, so that's it. This is our code here. Let's start from the top and go through it one after the other. Okay, so we are keeping this application in the Bookshop package. These are the classes that we are going to use in our class. We're using the file class, file reader, file writer, the IO exception, and the scanner. And notice that while I was typing, I didn't do this. The IDE did this for me. Okay, so that is one of the advantages in using an IDE. If you were typing this in a notepad or any text editor, you would have to manually import them. Okay, okay. So here I created a class called Bookshop. Remember, the name of this file should also be bookshop.java because that is the public class name. Inside this Bookshop class, I have 5 objects that I want to use, 5 members, book title, book author, and the publisher. These are string, and then I have the book here. These are the details I want to collect from the user in case they want to add a new book, and also I want to display to the user. Then there is a file name that I'm going to use to um, I'm going to pass this file name to all the methods that I have so that this file is created. I have overloaded 2 constructors here. The first one has no parameter and is basically doing nothing. The second constructor has 5 parameters and we are doing assignment in all these. And we are using this constructor here to write the details to the file. After assigning the details that the user will input, we want to write them to file. So we call the method called write to file. Okay, that is the parameterized constructor. Now these are the 3 methods that we are using in our class. The first method is the create file. So here we are checking this path. On my drive D, I have a directory called Bookshop. Okay, that is what we have here. Drive D, and the name of the directory is Bookshop. So what this method is doing is it is going to check if inside this directory there is a file called file name. That is whatever name we pass to this method here. It's going to verify if there is that file. If the file does not exist, then the application is going to create the file. That's all we are doing. Okay, if the file exists, we're not doing anything because of course we want the file to exist. Now, while executing these errors or these lines of code, these file operations, if there is any problem, if any error arises, we want to catch that error, and instead of the app crashing, we want to display some nice message. The user error while creating file. Okay, so that is the create file method. Then we also have the write to file. Now, after getting the details from the user, we want to store the details in the file that we have just created. So we create our file writer object, my writer, and we pass the name of the file. So we follow the same construct. Okay. And then this is where we write. We use the write method of the file writer class to write the details into the file. So what details? The book title, the author, the publisher, and the year of the book. Okay. Now we want to have nice formatting. So first we give a return, so we can something like you have pressed enter. Then we print the book title, tab, book author, tab, the publisher, tab, before the book year, all on one line. Okay. After writing, we close the file writer. Okay. Again, while executing this, if there is any error, we want to catch that error and display a nice message. Error while writing to file. That is our write to file method. Then we have the read from file. In this, we want to read the content from this file. Remember, we are again giving the same file path. Okay, we're using this I variable here to start reading from the beginning. So here, whilst there is still something to be read, okay, so this is the condition here. Whilst there is still something to be read in the file that we have indicated, we want to display the content. Okay, so that is this line here. Again, if there is any error, we want to catch that error and display a nice message. Error while reading from file. Okay, so that is our read from file class. Then next, we create an implementation class. We call this class text bookshop. In this, we have our main function. We are indicating some variables that we are going to use to get the input from the keyboard. Okay. Then we create our scanner class, scanner object that is going to help us to get the input from the input stream. We create our object, okay, just to initialize our bookshop class. Then we use the object to create the file, called the create file method, and pass the f name. What is the f name? We have created a constant here, a final that is having the name of the book, the text file that we want to create. The text file is going to be books.txt. So when we execute this, if everything goes right, we should have a notepad, a text file here called books.txt. We shall come back to see. Okay, so that is this line here, line 68. Then on line 69, we are just welcoming the user to our program here. Then we display these options, enter one to enter book details, 2 to borrow book, 3 to view available books, and of course 0 to quit. Okay, then we're asking the user to enter their choice here. We are getting the choice from the user, assigning it to ch variable, and we are switching the ch. So whatever input the user enters, we are switching it. Okay, switching means you are testing the input. Now we will now look at the cases. If the user enters 1, that is case 1, that means the user wants to enter book details. So what we are doing is we are displaying book title, then we get the title, book author, publisher, and the year the book was published. After getting all these, we pass the values to the parameterized constructor, that is the bookshop with 5 parameters. Okay, you know what that is doing. When the user enters 2, it tests for case 2. We want to print something nice. I see you want to borrow book. Check back later because we don't have that implementation yet. Then if the user enters 3, that means the user wants to view the list of available books. So we first display list of available books. Let's keep some lines so we have a clear one more. That's fine. And we call the read from file method from our bookshop class to read from the file name that is provided. The file name is the books.txt. Okay. After we have displayed all the content, we want to print end of list. Okay. If the user presses 0, we simply don't want to do anything because it means they want to quit. Okay. So we break In the event that the user doesn't enter any of these choices we have made available, that is 1, 2, 3, and 0, we want to tell the user they have entered the wrong choice. They should try again nicely. Okay. And this is where we check our condition in the do while loop. Why are we using the do while loop? We want to make sure that at least the content that we have in do will execute at least once. Okay, so whatever is put in here will be executed at least once before this condition is checked. Okay, so that is basically our work here. We can now run our program to see if everything is okay. So let's go up here. We can run it from this green play button here, or we could also go to run and click on the run. I want to use this one here. We're waiting for it to load here. Great. So let me take the run window a little. Okay, so once we're here, it means that our book file, the text file, should be created by now. So let's go into our Bookshop directory to see if our book has been created. Okay, great. So as you can see, the book has been created. Okay, that is our notes, a text file. Okay, so currently there is nothing in it. All right. Now let's enter your choice. Assume you want to enter book. Okay. All right. There is a problem here. Oh, okay. Okay. So we remember it's a character. So in our cases, actually, we need to put them in quotes. So we'll put this in quotes, single quotes, because it's a character. Sorry. So here the program is assuming we did not enter the right choice, so it's giving us the try again message. Let's put this in character, in code, sorry. We are doing this because remember the ch variable here is a character. Okay, so we need to make sure that it is in single quotes. Let's do the same thing for this one here. Okay, great. So let's save it and run it again. Okay, building. Okay, so let's try it again. Let's enter one to enter books. Good. So now it's telling us to enter our book title. So we want to enter the marriage of Anansiwa. Okay. The author of this book. Um, let's make it quick one and see. The publisher. Let's say GCTU. Yeah, GCTU. The year the book was published, maybe 2010. Okay. Okay. So our book has been successfully entered into our text file. In order to prove, let's go into our books text file and see if we have okay, great. So we have the details entered here nicely. Let's add another one. Just for okay, so we enter one again to enter book title. Okay. Author, let's say Wari. Publisher, again, let's do DCTU. And year published 2021. Okay, great. So again, let's check if our details have been stored in our books text file. Oh, they are not here. Let's refresh and open it again. It didn't come. Okay, what happened? Okay, don't know why. Okay, so let's quit 0 to exit. That's fine. Okay, now let's run it again and check what the problem is. Let's do it again and see. Mm, okay, let's go into a text file, open it again. Oh, okay. Okay, so actually it is overwriting. Okay, it is overwriting. Sorry. So while creating the file, while opening the file for writing, we need to open it for append or in the append mode. Okay, so it's unfortunate here. So we need to indicate true for append. Okay, so while opening the file for writing, we should append. Okay, in the previous, it was false. By default, it's false. If you don't indicate any value, it's false. That means that every detail that you put in the file will be overwritten by the new one. Okay, so that is the problem. Sorry about that. Let's run it again. So now we can see our text file has only the Java programming for geeks. Let's add some more book to it. Okay, so one to enter book detail. Again, let's bring our marriage of Anansiwa, and the author was Kwekwa Nancy. The publisher was GCTU. The year was, I think, 2012 or whatever it is. Okay, well, let's go back into our bookshop, and we have our marriage of Anansiwa nicely displayed. Okay, so let's add our last book. Again, we enter option 1. book title. Mm, okay, so the economy, the author, it's government, the publisher is government, the year published is 2022, 2021, that's fine. Okay, let's go back into our bookshop book, and yes, we have it, the economy. Okay, great. Now let's try other options and see if we can view the, sorry, borrow books. But okay, I see you want to borrow book, check back later. Let's try option 3 to view all the books. Okay, so we have them here, uh, the 3 books that we have entered, and still waiting on us to enter more options. So we want to quit this time, we press 0, and we are out of the program. Okay, so yes, this is what I want you to do in the assignment I gave you. I want you to write a similar program, use the class, create your methods. Now implement the class by writing your main class that will implement the class that I gave you. All right, I hope this tutorial was helpful. Thank you for watching.